Good afternoon, everybody. You are listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Playoff Baseball. My name is Payne Patchett, and this is game number 21 and playoff game number 1 of the 2018 Varsity Baseball postseason. As the number 5 seeded Lake Stevens Vikings, who finished conference play with a record of 7-7 for the third straight year and finishes with the number 5 seed for the third straight year, will travel on the road to play once again at Glacier Peak High School, the first time in over 2 weeks, against the number 4 seeded Glacier Peak Grizzlies, who finished just a game ahead of the Vikings in conference play with a record of 8 wins and 6 losses. Lake Stevens Vikings recovering after a non-conference loss back on Wednesday, May 2nd to the North Creek Jaguars by a score of 8-3, and are trying to keep their season alive. They enter this game with a record of 8 wins and 12 losses. Overall on the year, Glacier Peak finishing with a .500 record in the regular season of 10 wins and 10 losses, trying to keep their season alive. The winner of this game will play the number 1 seeded Cascade Bruins, while the second playoff game currently playing up north in Mount Vernon between Monroe and the Mount Vernon Bulldogs. The winner of that game will play the number 2 seeded Jackson Timberwolves on Monday, May 7th. The pitching matchup for today's game, it will be Jacob Wardla making his first varsity start after his amazing performance against the Grizzlies at Lake Stevens High School, getting him his first and only varsity win of the year, taking on against Ian Haig, who hasn't pitched against the Vikings in over a year since he threw 2 1/3 innings, throwing 80 pitches and allowing 5 runs, all in the second inning alone, in a 5-4 loss to the Lake Stevens Vikings. When we come back, it'll be the top of the first inning. Ian Haig will be on the mound for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, and it'll be Ben Pizer, Theron Perkins, and Trey Long will be the first 3 batters as Lake Stevens Vikings try to start their run to a second consecutive Wesco championship here in Snohomish, Washington at Glacier Peak High School. And we are now into the top of the first inning here in the first round of the Wesco Playoffs. The rules are simple. If Lake Stevens beats the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, they will play on Monday either against Jackson, the number 2 seed, or Cascade, the number 1 seed. If they lose, their season is over. The starting pitcher for Glacier Peak is number 20, Ian Haig, making his first start against the Vikings in over a year against Ben Pizer. Strike one, looking right down the middle on the first pitch. Ian Haig entering this game with a .500 record, 3 wins, 3 losses, an ERA of 2.90. It's his 8th start. He has thrown 31 1/3 innings, allowing 26 hits, 13 earned runs, walking 29, and striking out 35. The 0-1. Outside, ball 1. It'll be Ben Pizer, the starting left fielder, number 11. 22 hits, 63 at-bats, and a .349 batting average, with 4 RBIs and a 6 for 6 in stolen bases during the regular season. The windup and the 1-1. And a foul ball, it'll hit the fence right in front of the Glacier Peak bleachers along the third base side. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And during the regular... And during the regular season series, Ben Pizer was 2 for 5, and it looks like Haig's talking to the home plate umpire about the baseball, of whether if it was scuffed or not because it hit the fence. And the dialogue between the home plate umpire and the pitcher can be heard clear as day. But thankfully it ended as quickly as it did, and on the first batter in the first inning, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ian Haig getting the sign from the catcher, Ethan Barker. The windup and the 1-2 pitch. The short liner gets past Haig, gets into his glove, throws to first. It is in time to the first baseman, Jackson Swim, for the first out. Ian Haig, it looked like that ball was going to slowly run past his glove, but he gets there just in time. And he throws it to first base just in time for the first out of the first inning, brings up the starting third baseman, number 6, Theron Perkins. It was in a regular season series where he returned from an injury and had one of the best couple of games in his young varsity career, going 5 for 7 with a homer and a triple. First pitch inside and under the strike zone, ball 1. During the series, Theron Perkins, he was 5 for 7 with a homer, a triple. He has scored 6 runs, got 6 of his 12 RBIs from the series, was walked once, got hit once, and has stolen 2 bases in his return. The 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Perkins in the regular season, .395. He has hit 1 of 2 home runs for the Lake Stevens Vikings with 12 RBIs and is also 6 for 6 in stolen bases entering the game. He's been hit once in one of the 2 games against Glacier Peak, scored 7 runs. He's been walked 4 times and has hit 4 triples, a team high, 1-1. Foul ball, this one hitting off the glove of the catcher Ethan Barker, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The lineup for the Lake Stevens Vikings: Ben Pizer at left, Theron Perkins at center field, and Trey Long at catcher. The cleanup hitter is the first baseman Will Wentz. The center fielder Christian Lapierre back in the lineup after not starting in the last couple of games due to an arm problem. He is back in the lineup playing center field. Tanner Lind at right, number 20. Hunter Zelasco at the 7th spot at shortstop. Brendan Miller, number 2, the second baseman. And Ethan Jansen will be the number 9 hitter, playing as the designated hitter for the starting pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings, Jacob Wardla. And the windup in the 1-2. Upstairs, ball 1, nice snag by the catcher Ethan Barker. Here are the defensive lineups for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. On the mound is Ian Haig, behind the plate is Ethan Barker. In the infield at third base is Pierce Levengood. Shortstop is Riley Parker. Second base is Chase Rogers. And the first baseman is Jackson Swim. And in the outfield at left is Peyton Smith. Center field is Drew Brown. The 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Haig gets there and swinging for the second out of the first inning. He'll bring up the number 3 hitter, Trey Long. Entering this game, 17 hits and 48 at-bats, a .354 batting average with 10 RBIs and is 8 for 8 in stolen bases. During the series, he was 2 for 4 with a double, 4 RBIs, 5 runs, 2 walks, and 2 stolen bases. And throughout the year, he was hit 3 times, has scored 16 runs, and hit a team-high 7 doubles. First pitch low for a ball 1. He hit 1 triple, and he's been walked 12 times. In the outfield is Peyton Smith at left, Drew Brown at center, and Scott Schaefer, Scott Schaefer at right. The 1-0, upstairs, ball 2. And the outfield for Glacier Peak, unlike last year's outfield, which mostly relied on their quick speed and fielding, this team for this year was mostly relied on their hitting, as especially Drew Brown and Peyton Smith did really well throughout the year. The 2-0. Line shot, this one getting past the glove of the shortstop Riley Parker and into the hole in center field. Lake Stevens gets their first base hit of the postseason on a 2-out single in the top of the first inning.
Number 34, Will Wentz.
Here is Will Wentz, 17 hits and 64 at-bats, a .266 batting average with a team-high 18 RBIs on the year. He's been hit 4 times. He has hit 6 doubles, including the walk-off double in the final home game against Jackson. He has scored 6 runs, and he's been walked 5 times. Haig, first pitch, check swing, strike 1. During the series, he was 3 for 8 with 2 RBIs, and with all 3 hits being singles. Haig looking over at first base towards Trey Long. And the windup in the 0-1. Fly ball, that is out foul. This one going behind the fence. Or behind the dugout, Lake Stevens dugout along the first base side, and it lands on the netting of a batting cages. One of the batting cages that's right behind the Lake Stevens dugout. Ian Haig ahead of the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Timeout by Will. The reserves for the Lake Stevens Vikings: Justin Troya, Jacob Gordon, Alec Ibachuan, Tate Brust, Bryce Mefford, Xander Fogel, Tommy Lindgren, Bailey Corley, and returning back in a varsity uniform is Cameron Austin, first time since the Mariner series, which was the second conference series of the year that he is playing for the varsity team. Timeout, Ethan Barker, he was walking up to the mound to talk to Ian, goes back behind the plate. Haig getting the sign, the 0-2. Outside, ball 1. And Ian, the 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Ian Haig, he allows a 2-out single to Trey Long, but that'll be all the Vikings could get. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. Jacob Wardla going back on the mound for the Lake Stevens Vikings after an amazing performance in relief in in his last game against Glacier Peak. He'll face off against Peyton Smith, Drew Brown, and Jackson Swim in the bottom of the first inning. No score between Lake Stevens and Glacier Peak. And we are now back into the bottom of the first inning. Lake Stevens and Glacier Peak, they are scoreless. The starting pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings, number 10, Jacob Wardla. He is pitching in his 8th game of the season, his first one being the starting pitcher, as he is 1-0 with an ERA of 0.73 as he faces off against the left fielder Peyton Smith. Upstairs, ball 1. Jacob Wardla, 1 win and no losses, an ERA of 0.73 and 19 1/3 innings pitched. He has allowed 18 hits, 2 earned runs. He has walked 4 batters, and he's struck out 13. The windup in the 1-0. Check swing, strike 1 looking. Peyton Smith entering this game, 15 hits and 53 at-bats with a .283 batting average. He has scored 12 runs, he has hit 4 doubles, and he has been walked 5 times this year. And during the series, he was 2 for 7 with 2 runs, an RBI, a walk, and a stolen base. The 1-1. Low and outside to the starting catcher, Trey Long, ball 2. The lineup for the 10-10 and the number 4 Glacier Peak Grizzlies. Peyton Smith at left, Drew Brown at center, and Jackson Swim at first. At first base, they are the top 3 batters. The middle of the order, the cleanup hitter, third baseman Pierce Levengood. Number 42, the 2-1, outside, ball 3. The number 5 hitter, shortstop Riley Parker. And the 6th hitter is the right fielder Scott Schaefer. The number 7 hitter is the designated hitter Aiden Ferry, who is hitting for Ian Haig. The second baseman, number 8 and the 8 hitter Chase Rogers. The 3-1. Foul ball hits the fence, full count on the first at bat. Chase Rogers and the number 8 hitter, and the starting catcher Ethan Barker at the number 9 spot. The reserves for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies: Grant Doman, Kento Clymer, Jared Friedman, Tyson Mahis, Joel Plank, Zach Rodriguez, Kyle Lee, Matt Odell, Bobby Martin, and Noah Stingley. Jacob Wardla facing a full count at his first at-bat. Payoff pitch. And this will hit Peyton Smith, and it goes on the inside part of the strike zone, and it will barely hit Peyton Smith, but it will be enough. As Glacier Peak will get their first base runner of the game as the number 2 hitter Drew Brown, the center fielder, will walk up to the plate. Drew Brown, he had an amazing 2 games against Glacier Peak, going 6 for 6, 3 doubles, 3 runs, 2 RBIs, and 2 walks. Throw to first, not in time. On the year, he has 17 hits and 49 at-bats, a .347 batting average with 9 RBIs. He has scored 15 runs, has been walked 7 times, and has hit 4 doubles. Wardla, the first pitch. Foul ball hits the fence behind home plate, 0-1 count. Wardla stepping off of the mound. Wardla had a really good performance earlier this year, back on April 25th at Lake Stevens High School against the Grizzlies. The 0-1. A nice pitch, a curveball by Jacob Wardla, but he'll hit the bottom part of the strike zone, ball 1. He was pitching for relief for starting pitcher Will Wenz, who walked the first 4 batters he faced. And then after that, he threw 5 innings, allowing 7 hits and no runs. And a 1-1 pitch, a strike 2 called as Drew Brown tried to bunt Peyton Smith over to second. And so for Wardla, 5 innings, 7 hits, no runs, no walks, and 5 strikeouts. He has his only win of his varsity career was against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. And the 1-2, line drive ball, that barely gets foul. That one bouncing above the third base bag, and it lands in foul territory. A lucky break for Jacob Wardla and Lake Stevens right there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. As the Glacier Peak bleachers and the Glacier Peak dugout, they were starting to explode after that. And the count will stay at 1 ball and 2 strikes. The windup in the first pitch. Runner goes. Fly ball. That goes to right field. Tanner Lind, the right fielder, is under it. And he pump fakes a throw to first and will not make it as Peyton Smith will get past safely. Here is the starting first baseman, number 3, Jackson Swim. Entering the game, 21 hits on 50 at-bats, a .420 batting average. I don't know about you, but that's pretty nice. 3 home runs and 15 RBIs. He has scored 16 runs. He has hit 6 doubles, and he has been walked 13 times. And the first pitch from Jacob, a long shot to left. This one leading near foul territory, and he cannot make the catch. Peyton Smith rounding around second. This goes all the way to the wall. Peyton Smith rounding towards third. The throw home. Play at the plate. It gets past the catcher. And a run looks like a run will score, and it will. It'll be an RBI double for Jackson Swim on the first pitch. And Glacier Peak takes an early 1-0 lead. Trey Long, he tried to get the ball while covering home plate.
Third baseman number 42, Pierce Levengood.
But he runs. But Trey Long ends up running into Peyton Smith. And the run will score. And that'll bring up Pierce Levengood. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Levengood, 16 hits and 45 at-bats with a .356 batting average. With 9 RBIs and 2 home runs, it was Swim and Levengood who both hit a homer in the second game here at Glacier Peak High School, in which the Grizzlies won 14-10. Scored 12 runs, hit 3 doubles, has been walked 11 times. The windup in the 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. And the hit by Swim, it was a ball that was leaning near the left field foul line. Ben Pizer, he tried diving for it, but the ball will get past him. It runs all the way to the wall. It was a nice throw to the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko, who ends up throwing it home, but Trey Long wasn't able to get it. Wardla looking over at second base towards Jackson Swim in the 1-1. Strike 2 looking, and the count is at 1-2. It'll be the third earned run of the year towards Jacob Wardla. And Jacob ahead of the count, 1-2. Hard hit shot, deep to left field. Tanner Lind going back. Did he hit another one? Yes, he did. Pierce Levengood blasting off again with a 2-run homer. Around the same spot too. This one landing right in front of the scoreboard. Didn't hit the scoreboard, but it landed right in front of it. And Glacier Peak now with a 3-0 lead on an RBI double by Jackson Swim and another 2-run home run by the cleanup hitter Pierce Levengood. And the score is now 3-0. Glacier Peak over Lake Stevens. Riley Parker walking up to the plate. As Riley Parker, the starting shortstop, 23 hits, 54 at-bats, a .426 batting average. He has hit 1 homer with 20 RBIs as time for the team lead. Hard hit shot. This one going to left, and it'll fall right in front of Ben Pizer for a 1-out single. And a timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White walking up to the mound to talk to Jacob Wardla. He'll bring up Scott Schaefer. 20 hits and 51 at-bats. A .392 batting average. It is now tied with 2 other players for the team lead in home runs, as Levengood, Jackson, Swim, and Schaefer, they all have 3 homers. Schaefer also tied for the team lead in RBIs with 20. Swim getting RBI number 16 on the year, while Levengood getting RBI number 10 and 11 on the year. Schaefer, during the series, he was 3 for 7 with a double, 2 RBIs, and scored a run in the process. And Wardla getting the sign from the starting catcher Trey Long. The windup in the first pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. And the defensive lineup for the Lake Stevens Vikings. On the mound is Wardla. Behind the plate is Trey Long. In the infield, Theron Perkins at third base. Hunter Thalasco at shortstop. Brendan Miller at second. And Will Wentz at first. The 1-0. Check swing low for a ball 2. And in the outfield, Ben Pizer at left. Christian LaPierre at center. And Tanner Lind at right field. And the 2-0 by Jacob. Low and inside, ball 3. And Jacob the 3-0. Upstairs, ball 4. And Glacier Peak will have runners on first and second. In this huge first inning, it will move Riley Parker to second base. And here is the designated hitter, Aiden Ferry, number 23. Timeout by Lake Stevens. And they're going to take Jacob Wordla out of this game early. They're going to bring in number 12, Justin Troya, who is making his first appearance against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies this year. We'll take a quick break, bottom of the first. Glacier Peak 2 on and 1 out, 3-0 Grizzlies. And we are now back into the bottom of the first inning. Lake Stevens already bringing in a new pitcher in number 12, Justin Troya, making his 9th appearance and his first as a relief pitcher. First pitch, a foul ball over the fence behind home plate. For an 0-1 count, Aiden Ferry, a .297 batting average, 11 hits and 37 at-bats with 9 RBIs. He only was up to the plate in the second game, going 0 for 2 with a walk, run, and RBI. And the 0-1 pitch is a swing and a miss, strike 2. The ball gets away from the catcher, Trey Long, but the runners will stay. Jacob Wordla, inning and a third, 3 hits, currently 3 earned runs, walking 1 batter, striking out no one in 21 pitches. And Justin ahead of the count of the first batter. He'll see in Aiden Ferry, the 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A huge strikeout by Justin on the first batter he sees. And they'll bring up Chase Rogers, the second baseman, number 8. Entering the game, 10 hits, 31 at-bats, a .323 batting average, 3 runs, 2 doubles, has been walked 2 times. He has also only went up to the plate in the second game, going 1 for 3 with a run. And Justin. And the 1-0 pitch inside, ball 1. Justin Troya entering the game, 2 wins and 3 losses, an ERA of 5.12. Again, he is in his 9th game, his first as a relief pitcher, throwing 26 and a third, allowing 25 hits, 19 earned, 26 walks, and striking out 15 batters. Now 16 batters. And the 1-0, Justin. Fly ball, foul ball. It's the fence, 1-1. And it lands just over the fence, and it bounces over the bleachers, right in front of the Lake Stevens bleachers along the first base side, and then takes a pretty good bounce over the whole thing. And the count will even up at 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1, upstairs, ball 2. So this game also being a rematch to the 2017 Wesco Championship game played at Meridian Park between the Vikings and Grizzlies. As same thing here, the Grizzlies were the home team, but the Vikings ended up winning. And the 2-1 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. Count evens up again, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And championship game, it was Kazuki Kodama, who was a pitcher for Glacier Peak, who was mostly a reliever, facing off against Connor Olmsted, Lake Stevens' ace pitcher and one of the top pitchers in the area, and Olmsted won. The 2-2, low, ball 3, full count. Connor Olmsted, he threw 6 innings to get the 7-3 win, and the Vikings got their first Wesco title since 2013. Full count. Justin Troya looking at Parker at second. Check swing, ball 4 is now bases loaded for the number 9 hitter, Ethan Barker. Just like Aiden Ferry, he did not get a hit in the regular season series. And he hasn't really hit that much in general. He's only 5 hits and 16 at-bats with a .263 batting average and 4 RBIs. And during the regular season, he was 0 for 5 against the Vikings. Inside, ball 1. He was walked once, got an RBI, and got a run. And this was on a walk back in the 9-run first inning that Glacier Peak got, en route to a 14-10 victory over the Vikings. The 1-0, and this will hit Barker, and another run will score. And Ethan Barker will go to first. And it will be number 33, Bobby Martin, one of the many seniors that
at the plate for the Grizzlies, left fielder number 18, Peyton Smith.
Bobby Martin, one of the many Glacier Peak seniors that are looking to play what they hope is not their final game. And from the way through this first full inning is going, it looks like that's not a pretty good reality. So And we'll now go back to the top of the order for Peyton Smith. He got hit on a full count and scored on an RBI double by Jackson Swim. The windup in the first pitch by Justin, low for a ball 1. So Scott Schaefer is at third base. Chase Rogers is at second. And now Bobby Martin, who is pinch hitting for Ethan Barker, is at first base. The windup in the 1-0. Hard hit shot center field. Christian is there, and it will fall right in front of Christian. Schaefer will score. Rogers will stay at third, and it will be an RBI single for Peyton Smith, and the inning will continue. Bobby Martin stays at second. Chase Rogers stays at third, and now Peyton Smith will get the first on an RBI single. And it'll be Jacob Wardela. His stat line now officially done. There were 5 batters. He faced against 6 batters and got 1 out, and the other 5 runners scored, so he has 5 runs, 5 earned runs to his name. First pitch, ball 1. Still bases loaded. Drew Brown flew out to right and was the first out and the only out that Jacob Wardela was able to produce in his time on the mound. And the 1-0 line drive ball. This one fielded by Theron, who touches the third base bag, and it will end the first inning. It'll get Bobby Martin out. And just like the last time that the Vikings played against Glacier Peak, it was a huge first inning. The one at Lake Stevens garnered up 9 runs. This one only got up 5. It is 5 runs on 4 hits. No errors and 3 runners left on. Ian Haig with now some breathing room as Glacier Peak with an early 5-0 lead, as Haig will face off against the 5, 6, and 7 hitters of Christian Lapierre, Tanner Lind, and Hunter Zalasko. 5-0 Glacier Peak. And we are now back into the top of the second inning. Lake Stevens trying to respond to a 5-run first inning by the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. And it'll start off with Ian Haig against Christian Lapierre, making his first plate appearance against the Grizzlies today. During the season, he had 16 hits and 47 at-bats, a .340 batting average with 11 RBIs, and is 6 for 7 in stolen bases. He has been hit 6 times. He has scored 9 runs. He has hit 4 doubles, and he has hit a triple, and he was 5 for 9 during the series, including going 4 for 5 in the second game. First pitch, ball 1. He went 4 for 5 in the second game against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. Including 2 doubles and 3 RBIs. And the 1-0 outside, ball 2. The lineup, the next 3 batters, will be Christian Lapierre, Tanner Lind, and Hunter Zalasko, the shortstop. 2 balls, no strikes. Ian Haig had a pretty good first inning. 6 balls and 10 strikes for 16 pitches. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. 1 runner left on. And the 2-0 pitch, strike 1 looking. Two balls, 1 strike. Ian Hay getting the sign from Ethan Barker, the catcher. 2 balls and 1 strike. Upstairs, ball 3. Again, the other game that is playing right now is being played over at Sherman Anderson Field at Mount Vernon, Washington. The Bulldogs playing at home against 6-seeded Monroe. The 3-1 chopper, this one landing in foul territory. And it will go towards a full count for the first batter. And the payoff pitch, inside, ball 4. Lake Stevens gets their first base runner of the inning on a full count walk by Christian Lapierre. It is the 11th time this year, and the first time against Glacier Peak that Christian has been walked. Here is Tanner Lind. 14 hits, 51 at-bats with a .275 batting average, and leads the team in stolen bases with 12. First pitch, a fly ball over the fence above the Glacier Peak bleachers for a strike 1, the 0-1 count. During the series, he was 3 for 5 with a double, 2 runs, 3 of the 12 stolen bases. He has been walked 2 times Yeah, and has been walked 2 times. They had 3 stolen bases on twice because it was so important. And the 0-1 outside, strike 2 looking. And Tanner Lynn also adding 5 RBIs to the mix there. And Ian, the 0-2. Line shot going into center field, landing in front of Drew Brown. The Vikings has runners on first and second to start the second inning. They'll bring up the sophomore shortstop, number 22, Hunter Zalasko. During the regular season, he had a pretty decent season for a sophomore. 10 hits, 48 at-bats, a .208 batting average, 9 RBIs, and is 9 for 9 in stolen bases. Unfortunately, he did not get a hit. During the regular season series, he's been walked 3 times, got an RBI, a run, and a stolen base. But he has a chance to get his first hit here and get the Vikings on the board. First pitch, swing, and a miss, strike 1. And Haig looking over at Christian at second, the 0-1. Low for a ball 2. It gets past the catcher Barker. Runners will advance. Christian to third. Tanner to second. And the Vikings get their first runs in scoring position. Their first runners in scoring position as Christian will move to third. Tanner moving to second on a wild pitch by Ian Haig. Ball 1. Ian Haig, and the last time that he faced off against the Lake Stevens Vikings, it was one that he wished to forget. It was back on April 27th, 2017. He was facing off against Connor Olmsted in the first regular season conference series between the 2 teams. And the 1-1 pitch inside, ball 2. A nice pitch by Ian, but it doesn't get in the strike zone. Ian Haig, he finished 2 1/3 innings pitched, allowing 4 hits, 5 runs, 1 was earned, walking 4 and striking out 2 in a 5-4 Lake Stevens win, as he threw 80 pitches in 2 1/3 innings. The 2-1, upstairs, ball 3. Ian behind on the count, 3 balls, 1 strike. And a timeout by Hunter. And in the regular season series in game number 1, Lake Stevens had a 10-run fourth en route to a 16-4, or a 10-run third en route to a 16-4 win in the first game. And then Glacier Peak responded with a 14-10 win. 3-1 pitch, swing, and a missed strike 2. The second full count at bat for Ian Haig in this inning. And the last time it ended in a walk to Christian LaPierre, who is now at third. And the second game at Glacier Peak High School, where the Grizzlies won 14-10, that was one of the more exciting games for Lake Stevens in the year, even though they didn't win. It was a fairly exciting game on both fronts, as, like I said before, this is a hitter-friendly series, so expect a lot of hitting. Payoff pitch, upstairs, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. Stop me if you heard this before, if you've listened to the Glacier Peak recordings. Brendan Miller is up to the plate with the bases loaded. For anyone who's ever listened to the recording of the second game for Brendan Miller, he was up to the plate. Of the 4 plate appearances, 3 of them was up with the bases loaded. He flew out to right, was walked, got an RBI, and hit a 2-run single. And they were all off of Jackson Swim, who was the starting pitcher. And Brendan Miller, in general, has been doing pretty good at the 8 spot. Upstairs, ball 1. 8 hits and 23 at-bats with a .348 batting average. There was a point where his batting average was right around 200, but later in the year he has done a really good job in his senior season to find the perfect spot to swing. Timeout by Glacier Peak. The manager, Bob Blair, along with the catcher, Ethan Barker, talking to Ian Haig. Brendan Miller, he has also been hit twice. He has scored 4 runs. He has hit 2 doubles, has hit 1 triple, and has been walked 4 times. And during the regular season series, he was 3 for 6 with a double, 4 RBIs. He has scored 2 runs, and he has been walked once. And also, watching right next to the Glacier Peak dugout is the Cascade Bruins. There's a few of their players who are watching this game to see whoever wins will play them on Monday, May 7th at Cascade High School. Cascade, on the second to last game of the year, they won the regular season title by beating Kamiak 7-0 on the road, the 1-0. Upstairs, ball 2. And during his last start, Ian Haig, he had some trouble with walks and hit by pitches against last year's Wesco champion Lake Stevens team, and that later gave him the loss. Ian behind on the count. 2 balls, no strikes. Wind up. Strike 1 looking. It's the top part of the strike zone. 2-1. It is Christian LaPierre at third base. Tanner Lind at second base. Hunter Zelasco at first base. Lake Stevens, they are threatening. They could not be any closer to getting a run on the board. Ian, the 2-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. A nice pitch by Ian to even the count. And as this broadcast is going on, we are trying our best to get some updates on the other game that's going on right now. Try and get some updates on the Monroe-Mount Vernon game. The 2-2. Will this hit Brendan? No, it will not. It'll hit the knob of the bat. It'll be a foul ball. Brendan stays alive. It's a check swing as it goes inside. And the count will stay 2 balls and 2 strikes. Ian, the sign from Ethan Barker. The 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and Ian's able to get the first out. There's a fastball by Ian Haig to make Brendan swing on the first out, and here's Ethan Jansen, who is making his first plate appearance against the Glacier Peak Grizzlies varsity team. He is 1 for 6 this year with a 167 batting average. And the first pitch, low, ball 1. Ian doing a pretty good job with the pitch count in the last at-bat. He was as low as a 2-0 count. I was able to find the right pitches and make him swing at the ones that Brendan thought were good, and able to get him out. See if that might be the case here. The 1-0 inside, ball 2. Two balls, no strikes, Ian. The pitch. Upstairs, ball 3. Ethan, 1 pitch away from getting his first RBI of his varsity career, and for the Vikings to get their first run of the game. 3-0 count. No one, looks like there's someone warming up in the bullpen now in the 3-0. Strike 1 looking right down the middle. It is number 2, Grant Doman. He had a pretty good job in relief in the second game here at Glacier Peak, and he is currently warming up in the bullpen for the Grizzlies. And the 3-1. Upstairs, ball 4. Christian's going to score, and Lake Stevens has their first run of the game. Tanner will move the third. Hunter will move the second. And we now go back to the top of the order for the second time around, and Ben Pizer, who hit a 1-2 pitch to the pitcher Ian Haig and threw the first for the first out. He now represents the game-tying run. And the first pitch. Strike 1 looking. Ian, the 0-1, swung on, fly ball. Count goes to 0-2. So now it is Tanner at third, Hunter at second, and Ethan Jansen at first base, as the bases are still loaded, as Ben Pizer is facing an 0-2 count. He's not normally in these situations. He only has 4 RBIs in a leadoff spot all year. The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Ian makes Ben swing. It is the 3rd strikeout of the afternoon for Ian. And it'll bring up the number 2 hitter, Theron Perkins. He struck out swinging on 5 pitches. And is the only other strikeout victim for Ian Haig that hasn't come up to the plate in the first inning. And Theron, with as hot as he has been this late in the year, has a chance to break this game wide open. Theron, first pitch, 1 hopper, and a nice snag by the catcher Ethan Barker to make sure that ball didn't get past him. Now, Theron Perkins, on the other hand, he has been in this situation dozens of times throughout his time in the year, as he has helped him get to a homer and 12 RBIs. The 1-0 swung on, fly ball. That's a foul, and that one landing in the bleachers of a baseball field adjacent to the one that these two teams are playing on. Again, the Glacier Peak Grizzlies at left field, they have their own little green monster, which is about a good 15 feet higher than the rest of the outfield. And left field is at 301 feet. Right field is at 305 feet. And the 1-1. Foul ball. This one hitting the fence behind home plate. Ian ahead of the count. 1-2. And left center field is 356. Right center field is 336. And deep center field is 385 feet. The left field, has a fencing above the outfield wall covering most of the trees, while the right field shows the desert landscape that Snohomish County is known for. The 1-2, foul ball. Theron staying alive. Count stays at 1-2. And just like every other Saturday in the month of May, for people who don't know, the Wesco Playoffs normally start on the first Saturday of the month of May, and that's exactly what today is, Saturday, May 5th. And it's always very sunny, always a great day for baseball, and today is nothing different. The timeout by Ethan Barker, who goes up to the mound to talk to Ian Haig. And this could be a game changer early in the game. Glacier Peak with an early lead. Lake Stevens with a chance to make the margin smaller. They're currently trailing by 4. Theron representing the game-tying run at home plate, and we found out from earlier in the year that Theron has some home run power. Ian, the 1-2, upstairs, ball 2, nice eye by Theron. It's the number 2 hitters for both of these teams that have had the best performances during the regular season. It was Theron Perkins for Lake Stevens and Drew Brown for Glacier Peak. Drew Brown, again, he went 6 for 6 with a few RBIs. The 2-2, fly ball. Theron staying alive in the at-bat. The suspense is, there's the usual suspense that build up after so many pitches to a batter during an at-bat. And then you add that to the fact that one of these teams, their season is going to end. And it just makes the suspense even greater. Count stays at 2-2. Pitch, check, swing, ball 3. Did he go? He did not. Full count. That ball was above the strike zone, and Theron Perkins, with a flick of the wrist, check swings it. And the count will now go to a full count with the bases loaded. And Ian Haig, the windup of the payoff pitch. Foul ball. With the runners advancing. Tanner going to home. Hunter, he was already past halfway to third, and Ethan was not even halfway to second. Count stays at a full count, and a huge at-bat early in the game. And Ian, Tanner at third, Hunter at second, Ethan at first. Payoff. Fly ball, this one going to center field. Drew Brown looking for it, looking up. This one's going back, it goes to the wall. Tanner's gonna score, Hunter's gonna score, Ethan's gonna score. The throw to third base is not in time. It's a bases clearing triple for the junior Theron Perkins, and it's a 5-4 Glacier Peak lead. Theron Perkins feeling like Floyd in the Mayweather here in the second inning as Lake Stevens cuts the lead down to 5-4. An amazing at-bat An amazing hit. And Theron Perkins is a guy that everyone in Wesco should look out for next year. And that brings up Trey Long. He hit a single on a 2-0 pitch to center. Upstairs, ball 1. Game-tying run. It's now at third base, 90 feet away. And Ian, the 1-0. Ball 2, Theron, he hit this one. It was a really well-hit ball. And it was hit into deep center field. Drew Brown was running for it. It looked like he had it. It looked like it didn't have it. It was one or the other. He was moving his body, trying to get it. He couldn't get it. It lands at the wall. All the runs will score easily. And it's now 5-4. 2-0, fly ball. This is playable. Riley Parker, the shortstop, trying to shield his eyes from the sun and makes the catch. And that will be the end of the top of the second inning, but it was a huge one for Lake Stevens as it gets him back in the game. 4 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on. The score is now 5-4 Glacier Peak. As Justin Troya tries to pitch his first full inning of the game as he faces off against Jackson Swim, Pierce Levengood, and Riley Parker, the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. As Lake Stevens currently trailing by 1 as we go into the bottom of the second. And we are now back into the bottom of the second inning. Lake Stevens, they were trailing 5-0 entering the top of the 4th. They now trail by the score of 5-4 early in this game. And it'll be Justin Troya looking to pitch his first full inning of the game as he faces off against Jackson Swim, who hit a first pitch RBI double. First pitch, ball 1. Justin Troya, 7 balls and 8 strikes for 15 pitches. As a total for him, as in the inning total and the 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. In this first inning, it was 5 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and 3 runners left on. That was the total for Glacier Peak through 1 inning. And the 1-1, upstairs, ball 2. And the 2-1, upstairs, ball 3. And the 3-1 pitch outside for a ball 4. And Glacier Peak with a leadoff walk in the second. It'll bring up Pierce Levengood, who hit a 1-2 pitch over the left field wall just right in front of the scoreboard.
Pierce Levengood.
And Pierce Levengood also hitting his second home run this year against the Lake Stevens Vikings. Again, hitting one in the second game. First pitch outside, ball 1. And Justin looking at first towards Jackson, the 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. That was a swing, another swing of home run caliber, but this time he only had contact with the air. Swing and a miss, strike 1. And Justin, 1 ball and 1 strike, looks over at first. The throw outside, ball 2. Trey looking over at first base towards Jackson. And it'll be Jackson Swim, Pierce Levengood, and Riley Parker. They're all 3 batters who scored 3 of the 5 runs in the first inning. The 2-1, outside, ball 3. And Justin, another 3-1 count, a hard hit ball. This one staying in play to right field. It'll be caught by Tanner. It sounded like a pretty well-hit ball with a few oohs from the Glacier Peak bleachers, but instead, it will stay in play. Tanner Lynn will catch it. And there was Riley Parker, who hit a single to left field in the first pitch he saw in the first inning. And it'll be 1 out, leaving runner at first base. Same Same outcome in the first inning, leaving Peyton Smith at first after getting hit with a full count. And Justin, first pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. And Justin, the 1-0. Strike 1 looking. Right down the middle. Nice pitch by Justin. Riley Parker. Entering the year, he became the top-rated uncommitted prospect in the entire state of Washington in high school baseball. And he has shown it pretty well in the past couple of years. And the 1-1 pitch, strike 2 looking. But so far, it doesn't look like he's doing it against Justin. Riley Parker, a .426 batting average, a homer, and 20 RBIs. He is 2 for 2, and 2 of 7 Glacier Peak stolen bases entering the game. And the 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. A huge strikeout by Justin for the second out.
Right fielder, number 20.
Now bring up Scott Schaefer. He was walked on 4 pitches to make the bases loaded, and that was the last straw for Jacob Wardla as he was taken out by Justin Troya. And it was the final run that scored for Glacier Peak. And the first pitch by Justin. Foul ball, hits the fence behind home plate, 0-1 count. And this is the first time in a while that we have a Lake Stevens game that's being covered extensively on Twitter. The 0-1 pitch, this one going to right. Tanner's under it, makes the catch. And Justin with a huge second inning. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 runner left on. The end of 2. Glacier Peak still leads by 1. Is Ian Haig returned to the mound? Yes, he will. He'll face off against Will, Christian, and Tanner. In the top of the third, 5-4. Glacier Peak over Lake Stevens. Ian Haig not looking pretty good. 57 through 2, including 41 in the second inning. We'll see if he can hold this 5-4 lead as we go into the top of the third. And we are now back into the top of the third inning. Lake Stevens trying to add to their 4-run second inning. They trail by the score of 5-4. Ian Haig, somehow Bob Blair deciding to keep him on the mound. He has thrown 41 pitches in the second inning, 19 balls and 22 strikes, 57 total. But it looks like Bob Blair might give him a chance here in the third. Ian against Will Wentz. Low for a ball 1. For Theron, it was RBIs number 13, 14, and 15 on the year. First pitch low for a ball 1. And the 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Will Wentz, he's also the team leader in strikeouts with 20. He has struck out the most among any Lake Stevens hitter. And that has been used to his disadvantage in some situations, spreaded throughout the year. And the 1-1. Hard hit shot to center. This one getting past Drew Brown. He's going for 2. Nope, he's going to stay at first. Will Wentz with a leadoff single, and Lake Stevens continues their barrage in the second inning with a leadoff single in the third. They'll bring up Christian Lapierre, the starting center fielder. He was the first batter in the second inning. He was walked on a full count. A wild pitch moved them from second to third, and he was the first of 4 runs scored. And the first pitch, strike 1 looking. Ian Haig, 19 balls, 22 strikes on 41 pitches again, with a total of 25 balls, 32 strikes on 57 pitches. In the second inning, 4 runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on, for a total of 4 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left on. The 0-1, swing and a miss, strike 2. Getting Christian swinging on that next pitch. And Christian, the first batter again that started in the 4-run second inning. And so far, we're not getting any updates from Monroe and Mount Vernon. There's a couple of people on Twitter, for example, the Lake Stevens Vikings sports Twitter account, and Cameron Van Til, who is a sports writer for the Everett Herald, who is also here at this game. First time he's been to a Lake Stevens game this year. And the 0-2 by Ian. Low, ball 1. And Ian looking over at Will at first base. And the windup in the 1-2. Low ball 3 gets past Barker. Will goes to second on the wild pitch. The second wild pitch for Ian Haig, and the Vikings have the game-tying run in scoring position. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Ian ahead of the count, 2 balls, 2 strikes. The pitch. Hard hit ball, a slow fly ball, and this will fall right in front of the shortstop, Riley Parker, who throws a laser to the first baseman, Jackson Swim, to get Christian out in time. That was faster than fast. That was ridiculous. Will is looking like he was going to go to second, or go to third, but he'll stay at second after he sees that the ball will fall. It was a one-hopper to Riley, who immediately throws it after it gets in his glove, throws to first, and gets Christian in time. Here's Tanner, who hit a single on an 0-2 pitch, upstairs, ball 1. And Ian Haig looking over at second base. The 1-0 outside, ball 2. Tanner Lynn with a chance to knock in the game-tying run. Again, the entire Cascade Bruins team is watching the game right next to the Glacier Peak bullpen. The 2-0 short grounder fielded by Ian, who throws to first, and he'll get him out in time. It was a throw into the dirt, but it is caught by the first baseman, Jackson Swim, in time. And once again, Lake Stevens, they have the game-tying run at third base. Here is Hunter Zelasco, who got on base on a full count walk. And Ian Haig gets the sign from Barker. First pitch, strike 1 looking. And the 0-1. A ground ball fielded by Levingood. Throw to the first baseman, Jackson Swim, is in time. It'll end the top of the third. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. And for the second straight inning, Lake Stevens leaves the game-tying run at third. Justin Troya back on the mound in the third. He'll face off against the 7-8-9 hitters of Aiden Ferry, Chase Rogers, and Ethan Barker. Still 5-4 Glacier Peak. And we are now back into the bottom of the third inning. Glacier Peak still leading Lake Stevens by the score of 5-4. And Justin Troya facing off against Aiden Ferry for the second time around. Last time he was up, he struck out on 3 pitches against Justin. First pitch, low, ball 1. Ball gets away and rolls away from the starting catcher, Trey Long. Troya, a pretty good second inning. 8 balls and 8 strikes, 16 pitches. A total of 15 balls, 16 strikes on 31 pitches, allowing only a base runner for a total of 5 runs, 4 hits, and 4 runners left on. It'll be Aiden Ferry, the DH, Chase Rogers, second base, and Barker, the catcher, the 1-0. Strike 1 looking, a nice pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Aiden Ferry struck out swinging. Chase Rogers got on base on a full count walk, and Ethan Barker got hit on a 1-0 pitch. And the 1-1. Strike 2 looking, a nice pitch by Justin. This one going to the knees, 1-2 count. And so far, Aiden Ferry, this was right now Justin Troya's only strikeout was against Ferry in the last at-bat. The 1-2, a hard hit ball going to left. Ben Pizer running towards it. He is under it, calls for it, makes a catch, and it'll be the first out in the third. And it'll bring up Chase Rogers. He got on base on a full count walk and was stranded at third.
Second baseman, number 8, Chase Rogers.
And Justin, the first pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. Rogers, he was 1 for 3 in the second game here at Glacier Peak against the Vikings, scoring one of the 9 runs in the first inning. The 1-0, fly ball. That one going near foul territory, and it will fall in foul territory, barely, as Will Wentz reaches out to try and make the catch. Counts even, 1 ball, 1 strike. And in that second game, Chase Rogers, he got on base on an error by the third baseman Tate Bruss, and then later flew out to center field, hit a single in the 4th inning, and grounded out to Theron Perkins in the 3rd. And it looks like the PA announcer started their music a little too early there. 1-1. 1 hopper to Trey, ball 2. And the windup in the 2-1. Upstairs, ball 3. With Justin behind on the count. And the windup in the 3-1. Strike 2 looking. Fastball by Justin makes it a full count. It'll be the first time since facing Chase Rogers in the last at-bat that he faced off, that he got a full count. Last time he was up, he was walked. This one, a payoff pitch, fly ball, that's out. A foul ball that lands behind the fence behind home plate. Count stays full. And it was also against Chase Rogers that Justin Troya has both full counts. Last time he walked Rogers. Payoff pitch, be a chopper. This one fielded by Brendan Miller, who tosses it to first and gets Chase Rogers out in time for the second out. Brings up the number 9 hitter, Ethan Barker. On a 1-0 pitch, he was hit on the left arm. Then he was replaced by Bobby Martin, who was pinch running for him. Bobby Martin later went to second, later got out on a fielder's choice, and that one, a first pitch foul. No, it's a fair ball. Ben Pizer bobbling the baseball. Ethan Barker's going to go to second on a 2-out double. That one barely landing fair. Thought that from this angle it looked foul. And Ben Pizer, he bobbles the ball as he tries to pick it up, which gives Ethan Barker the green light to go to second. We'll now go back to the top of the order for Peyton Smith. And Glacier Peak with an insurance run in scoring position, and Bobby Martin. Peyton Smith, 1 for 1, got hit by a pitch in the first inning and scored a run, then got an RBI single later in that inning. And the first pitch by Justin, strike 1 looking. Bobby Martin, the pinch runner, he's also a pinch runner for the baseball team. He's also one of the top high school basketball players in the area. He was in the running for All Herald Boys Basketball Player of the Year, and that will hit the bat. And the 0-1 pitch, that hits the bat. As Peyton Smith ducked away from it, his bat was raised up, and the count's now 0-2. So a couple players in the dugout saying that it hit him in the helmet. But it looked like from here the ball sailed higher than that. And Justin ahead of the count, no balls, 2 strikes. And Justin getting a lucky break there, not hitting another batter. And the 0-2, this one, Peyton reaching for that one. It was around the same spot where the foul ball happened, right above his head, and the count will stay at 0-2. Bobby Martin, he was in the running for the Everett Herald Wesco 4A Boys Basketball Player of the Year. He was either second place or third place in it, but then was later beaten by Carson Tuttle, who played for the Kamiak Knights basketball team that ended up finishing second place. Bobby Martin, he helped the Glacier Peak basketball team to win the Wesco title at Everett Community College. Justin Troya, the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Martin at second. Low, a nice block by Trey Long, keeping Martin at second, ball 1. And Justin ahead of the count, 1-2. Ground ball, this one fielded by Brendan Miller. Throw to first is in time, and it'll end the third. No runs on one hit. A 2-out double by Ethan Barker. No errors and one runner left on, which is the pinch runner Bobby Martin. And no runs will score. Still a 5-4 ball game. And Ian Haig returning to the mound in the fourth, facing off against Brendan Miller, Ethan Jansen, and Ben Pizer, the 8-9-1 hitters, as Lake Stevens still trails by 1. And we are now back into the top of the fourth inning. Glacier Peak still leading the Vikings by a score of 5-4. And it'll be second baseman Brendan Miller who will return to the plate for the second time around against Ian Haig. Haig had a pretty decent third inning, leaving the game-tying run at third, 5 balls, 8 strikes on 13 pitches. The wind-up in the first pitch, tries bunting for it. It's a strike one looking right down the middle. There's a total of 30 balls, 40 strikes, and 70 pitches, allowing a hit and a runner left on for a total of 4 runs, 4 hits, no errors, and 3 runners left on. And the 0-1 by Ian. Swing and a fly ball, that's foul. And the count now 0-2. Brendan Miller, he struck out swinging on a 2-2 pitch with the bases loaded in the second inning. And the bases were later cleared by Theron Perkins. A few batters later, Ian ahead of the count 0-2. Check swing upstairs, ball 1. And the Lake Stevens dugout, they're pretty well known for their chants and supporting the dugout, saying it's Miller time. The 1-2 check swing, did he go? Yes, he did. And it'll be strikeout number 4 on the afternoon for Ian Haig, and the second one against Brendan Miller. Here's Ethan Jansen. Jansen was walked on 5 pitches with the bases loaded, got his first varsity RBI, and later scored on the bases clearing triple by Theron. Upstairs, ball 1. And the wind up and the 1-0, Ian. Low, ball 2. And the 2-0 wind up by Ian. Strike 1 looking right down the middle. Ethan's still ahead of the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. Trying to find an update here. If anything, regarding the Monroe Mount Vernon game and the 2-1. 1 hopper to the catcher Ethan Barker, ball 3. And Ian behind on the count, 3-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Counts at a full count. And it's a payoff pitch, the wind up by Ian. Upstairs, ball 4, and Ethan is walked for a second time. Game tying run at first base in Ethan Jansen. It brings us to the top of the order in Ben Pizer. And Ben 0 for 2 with a ground out and a strikeout in the first inning and the second inning. Throw to first, not in time to Ian. Not in time from Ian to Ethan Jansen. As Ethan Jansen on the base paths trying to get his first stolen base of the season for the varsity team. And the first pitch. It'll be ball 1 on the first pitch. Goes low and outside. And Ian Haig looking over at first base towards Ethan. And the 1-0. Strike 1 looking. And on deck is Theron Perkins, currently the man of the hour for the Vikings. Hit a bases clearing triple in the second. And it looks like he has enough power to maybe do it again. And Haig taking his time, the 1-1. Strike two looking. Ben looked like he was trying to call time there before he threw the pitch. And is now behind the count, 1-2. And it looked like he was moving his hand towards the umpire, but it was about a split second after he already was in motion to throw the baseball, so it was already too late. Ian, the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball, that will go in the right field. Back goes Schaefer. Scott Schaefer going back at it at the wall. He is at the wall and will make the catch. And a nice play at right field by Scott Schaefer. He went right near the first base foul line, the right field foul line, as trying to fight the sun to try and find that one. And now here's Theron Perkins, who is 1 for 2 with a bases clearing triple in the second inning. And that was also with Ethan Jansen at first base. And the first pitch, strike one looking. Throw the first. Barely gets back to first in time is Ethan Jansen. Barely. That's the second time that Ian's thrown to first base to try to get Ethan Jansen. The count at 0-1. The pitch. Hard hit ball. That gets into the hole in left field. Theron Perkins, 2 for 3 with a runner on first and second. Trey Long will come up to the plate. Game tying runs at second base. And Theron Perkins, he enters this game with a .395 batting average. It's a guarantee at this point that he has a batting average over 400. And a pinch runner for the Lake Stevens Vikings. It'll be number 1 Cameron Austin, who is making his first appearance for the varsity team since mid-season. Also as a pinch runner, as he will represent the game-tying run. Here's Trey Long. He is 1 for 2 with a single and a pop-out to Riley Parker, the shortstop. And Ian looking over at Cameron, the first pitch. Strike one looking. And the 1-0. Strike two looking. And two nice pitches by Ian there. As Lake Stevens, again, they have the tying run in scoring position for the third straight inning. Trey behind on the count, no balls and 2 strikes. And Ian, the 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and it'll end the top of the 4th. Lake Stevens leaving the runner, the game-tying run in scoring position for the third straight inning. It is no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Justin Troya back on the mound in the bottom of the 4th against Drew Brown, Jackson Swim, and Pierce Levengood. Still a 5-4 Glacier Peak lead. And we are now back into the bottom of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens still trailing Glacier Peak by the score of 5-4. And it'll be Justin Troya against Drew Brown, who is 0 for 2 with a fly out to right and a fielder's choice both in the first. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. It'll be the center fielder Drew Brown, the first baseman Jackson Swim, and the third baseman Pierce Levengood. And the 1-0. Strike one looking. Justin, a pretty good third inning, 5 balls, 12 strikes, and 17 pitches. A total of 20 balls, 28 strikes, in 48 pitches. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. The 1-1 by Justin. Hard hit ball left field. Ben Pizer running for it. Running back to get it, and it will fall right in left center field. And Drew Brown with a leadoff single to start the 4th. Bring up Jackson Swim, hit an RBI double in the first and was walked and stranded at first in the second inning. And Justin, first pitch. Upstairs, ball one. Oh, that was a strike. A close pitch on the top part of the strike zone, and this at-bat will start with an 0-1 count. And Justin, the 0-1. Ball one outside. And in the series last year, it was the first game at Lake Stevens High School. It was the Vikings beating Glacier Peak 5-4. Throw to first, not in time to get Drew. And in the second game at Glacier Peak High School, the first ever conference game between the two teams at Glacier Peak, the Grizzlies won by the final score of 3-2 in a pitcher's duel between Jacob Bradley and Sam Baldini, who have both graduated. The 1-1. Hard hit ball, this one going to right field. Tanner is there, and he will make the catch, and it'll be the first out. And here is Pierce Levengood, currently the man of the hour for Glacier Peak. He is 1 for 2 with a 2-run homer in the first, and later hit a fly ball to right in the second inning.
42, Pierce Levengood.
And Justin had a pretty tough time trying to get him out in the last at-bat. See if he gets a better result here. First pitch under the strike zone, ball one. And Justin getting the sign from Trey. Looks over at first, 1-0, outside, ball two. So again, let's mention the final Wesco standings. We can find them. In which will be Cascade with the number 1 seed, 2-0 pitch, foul ball, grounder hitting the backstop behind home plate. 2-1 count. It'll be Cascade with the number 1 seed. They finished with a 12-2 conference record, and they got their first Wesco conference title since 2014 when they played in the Wesco 4A South Division, their first conference title when the two divisions merged, the Wesco 4A North and South back in 2015. And the 2-1 fly ball, that's playable. It's going into the infield, right near foul territory. Will trying to catch it, makes the catch. That one took a good few seconds there. It had a good 5-6 second hang time, but Will Wentz shielding his eyes from the sun with his glove, trying to make the catch, and he does. And it'll be the second out of the fourth. Here's Riley Parker, 1 for 2 with a single, and he struck out swinging on 4 pitches back in the second. And Justin, first pitch. Ground ball, this one gets into the glove of Theron. Theron throws to first, a one-hopper to Will, and it's in time. Another amazing inning of relief by the senior Justin Troya in his first game of relief. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 runner left on. Still a 5-4 Glacier Peak game. As we go into the bottom of the fourth, it'll be Ian Haig, who has thrown 89 pitches through 4 innings. He'll be pitching the fifth. It'll be Will Wentz, Christian Lapierre, and Tanner Lynn, the middle part of the order, as Lake Stevens tries to tie this game since they scored 4 in the second inning. 5-4 Grizzlies. We are now back into the top of the 5th inning. Glacier Peak still leading Lake Stevens by the score of 5-4. Ian Haig still on the mound for the Grizzlies as he faces off against Will Wentz, who is 1 for 2 against the senior Haig. Hit a 1-1 pitch to center field for a leadoff single. Wild pitch moved him to second, and he was stranded at third. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Ian Haig, 6 balls and 13 strikes for 19 pitches. A total of 36 balls, 53 strikes, and 89 pitches through 4 innings, allowing only 1 hit and 2 runners left on. A total of 4 runs, 5 hits, no errors, and 5 runners left on. The 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. And Ian Haig getting the sign from Ethan Barker, 1 ball and 1 strike. Inside, ball 2, gets in and out of the glove of the catcher. Count now goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. The next 3 batters consisting of Will Wentz, Christian Lapierre, and Tanner Lind, with Lapierre and Tanner Lind being a couple key contributors to what's making this game close in the first place in a 4-run second inning. And the 2-1 by Ian, the windup and the throw. Line drive shot straight to Riley. Into the outfield, throw to first in time. Riley Parker didn't even have to move a step. That one was a shot straight towards him for the first out in the 5th. Here's Christian LaPierre, who is 0 for 1 with a walk. And a run scored and grounded out to the shortstop, Riley Parker, in the 3rd inning. And they're going to take out Ian Haig, and they're going to bring in a new pitcher. It looks like they're going to bring in Grant Doman, number 2.
New pitcher for the Grizzlies, number 2.
And they will. Grant Doman, he has pitched against the Vikings before, and he pitched pretty well in relief. Let's see if he can pitch pretty well here, as we'll take a quick break here. Top of the 5th, 1 out, nobody on. Lake Stevens trailing by 1. And we are now back into the top of the 5th inning, where there'll be a new pitcher for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies, and that will be number 2, Grant Doman. He is pitching in his 4th game of the season, and ironically enough, his last game was against the Lake Stevens Vikings earlier this year. First pitch to Christian LaPierre. Line shot, past the glove of a diving Jackson Swim, the first baseman, and Christian LaPierre picking up where he left off when he last played at Glacier Peak with a 1-out single on the first pitch from Grant Doman.
Right fielder, number 20, Tanner.
And so Ian Haig, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, walking 1, 2, 3, 4 batters, and striking out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 batters in 93 innings. Grant Doman, no wins and no losses, an ERA of 3.5. First pitch to Tanner, swing and a miss, strike 1. Tanner 1 for 2 with a single and a ground out to the pitcher, Ian Haig. He has thrown 6 innings. He has allowed 6 hits, 3 earned runs, walking 5 batters, and striking out 8. And in the game against the Lake Stevens Vikings, runner goes. Ethan Barker to throw to second, not in time. Christian LaPierre with a stolen base, his 7th of the year, and the Vikings have a game-tying run at second base. Ian Haig currently online for the win. Jacob Bortolo still online for the loss. Grant Doman, in his last appearance, 3 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts in 54 pitches. And the fly ball, that's a foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Lake Stevens, for the 4th consecutive inning, has a run in scoring position. In the first 2, they left a runner at 3rd, and in the 4th inning, they left a runner at 2nd. Grant ahead of the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Looks over at Christian at second, the 1-2. Outside, ball 2. Well, Ian Haig, it's not a decent performance, but it's way better than the last time he faced off against the Vikings last season. The 2-2. Strike 3 called. Grant getting Tanner with the curveball. And that'll be the 2nd out of the 5th. Here's Hunter Zelasco, who is 0 for 1 with a walk and a ground out. And Grant first pitch. Ground ball. This one going to the second baseman Rogers, who throws the first and is in time to end the 5th. And Lake Stevens once again leaves a run in scoring position. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 runner left on. Still a 5-4 game. Justin Troya still on the mound, looking to pitch the 5th. It'll be Scott Schaefer, Aiden Ferry, and Chase Rogers in the bottom of the 5th. Still a 5-4 Glacier Peak lead. And we are now back in the bottom of the 5th inning. Justin Troya facing off against Scott Schaefer for the 2nd time in this game. He was 0 for 1 against Justin with a fly out to right. First pitch, ball 1. Justin Troya, a pretty decent 4th, 4 balls, 7 strikes on 11 pitches, throwing 24 balls, 35 strikes on 59 pitches, allowing a hit and a runner left on base. The 1-0 pitch outside, ball 2. And in total in the game for Glacier Peak, 5 runs, 6 hits, no errors, 6 runners left on. And the 2-0 fly ball, it's a foul, hits the fence right in front of the Lake Stevens bleachers. Count goes to 2-1. It is Scott Schaefer, Aiden Ferry, the designated hitter, and Chase Rogers, the second baseman. Scott Schaefer, he is 0 for 1 with a walk. He was the final batter that Jacob Bortolo faced in the 1st inning and was one of 5 runs that scored, and he flew out to right in the 2nd. The 2-1. Strike two looking, nice pitch by Justin. And there are still a couple of pitchers. There's someone warming up for Glacier Peak now. And Justin ahead of the count. Wind up 2-2. Fly ball. That is out for a foul on the Lake Stevens bleachers. And Justin keeping the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again, the winner of this game. It is the most likely result. If Mount Vernon beats Monroe, then whoever wins this game will play Cascade. 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Hits the dirt. Trey running after Scotty Schaefer and tags him. Instead of throwing to first, Trey Long decided to run after him and tried to dive after him and tag him. And the umpires are going to talk about it. The infield umpire says that Trey tagged him. The Glacier Peak dugout saying that he is safe. Trey Long, I don't know why he didn't throw it. He said he thought he was in good range of trying to tag him. It looks like he sort of was. And they're going to say that he is out. And the manager, Bob Blair for Glacier Peak, is going to talk about the call. It wasn't a one-hopper anyway. The ball didn't even hit the dirt. It got in the glove. But he still ran towards Schaefer anyway. And Bob Blair talking to the 2 umpires while Trey Long and Justin Troya is having a normal conversation. It brings up the next batter, Aiden Ferry, who is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a fly out to left. That is the 3rd strikeout of the afternoon for Justin Troya if this call stands. And it looks like Bob Blair, the manager for Glacier Peak, and the 2 umpires, they are standing along the first base line, just having a little banter about the call. Even Bob Blair even knows that call is not going to change. And in the end, it's a nice effort by the junior catcher, Trey Long, to tag him. Although it wasn't the smartest choice, it was a nice effort. And it'll bring up Aiden Ferry, the designated hitter. And there's someone warming up right now, is number 55, Noah Stingley for the Glacier Peak bullpen. He was warming up towards the end of the last game played here. First pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. And the 0-1 by Justin, upstairs, ball 1. And the first at-bat for Aiden Ferry, struck out swing on 3 pitches, and in the 3rd inning, on a 1-2 pitch, he flew out to Ben Pizer, the left fielder. And Justin, the 1-1, upstairs, ball 2. And the 2-1 pitch, a 1-hopper, gets past the catcher Trey, 3-1 count. Chase Rogers 0 for 1, Aiden Ferry 0 for 2. Ethan Barker, that was the number 9 hitter. It was his first hit against the Vikings this year. And the 2-1 pitch, 3-1 pitch, that one's leaning towards foul territory, and it will. It'll hit above the fence. It'll hit the side fence where that's connected with the Glacier Peak bullpen that goes right past the 3rd base line. The count is now full as that one leans into foul territory past left field. And the count is now full. The windup and the payoff pitch by Justin. Fly ball, this time it's fair. This one going to right center. Tanner calls for it. And Tanner makes the catch. That one with a good 4 or 5 second hang time. Shows you how powerful these Glacier Peak hitters are. For anyone who's never listened to a recording between Lake Stevens and Glacier Peak before, and the hang times for some of these fly balls are just astronomical. And they'll bring up our next batter, Chase Rogers. He is 0 for 1 with a walk on a full count, and grounded out to the second baseman Brendan Miller back in the 3rd inning. The first pitch from Justin, low, ball 1. And in both at-bats, Justin has pitched a full count against Chase. Really his goal now is trying to find the right spot and try to avoid getting into full counts, as he already has gotten into 1 this inning. The 1-0 pitch, ball 2 upstairs. Chase Rogers on the first full count, he was walked and was stranded at 3rd. Hard hit shot to left. Ben Pizer moving to his left a couple of steps and will make the catch. A nice 1-2-3 inning. A piece of cake upside down for Justin Troya in the 5th. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. It is still a 5-4 ball game in favor of Glacier Peak. Grant Doman on the mound as he'll face off against Brendan Miller, Ethan Jansen, and Ben Pizer for the first time around. First time in this game, and for the first time since April 26. Or the first time since April 26. Yeah, that's the right date. When the Vikings played here at Glacier Peak High School. We'll take a quick break. Still a 5-4 Glacier Peak lead. And we are now back into the top of the 6th inning. Glacier Peak, for the past good 3.5 innings, they've been leading Lake Stevens by the score of 5-4. Lake Stevens getting to the Glacier Peak pitching, and first pitch to Brendan Miller from Grant Doman will be a ball inside for a ball 1 for an 0-1 count. And it is announced that pitch running for Ethan Jansen will be number 15, Bryce Mefford. The 1-0 pitch inside, ball 2. And the windup in the 2-0 by Doman. Outside, ball 3. And Grant, 3-0, inside, ball 4. The Vikings on the first batter will have the game-tying run on base. This one on a 4-pitch walk to Brendan Miller. And a timeout by the umpire, as Josh White forgot to mention the change in the batting order. He'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Bryce Mefford, who will be hitting for Ethan Jansen. And it looks like the umpire is giving Lake Stevens a warning to not step out of the dugout. The dugout, it's an open space with concrete and AstroTurf grass separating where the dugout is. So anyone stepping out of the AstroTurf grass will have to go back to the bus. I'm stuttering and I don't like that. Oh my. Throw to first, not in time.
Easy batter, baby. 3 days in half.
Bryce Mefford, 2 for 22 on the year. First pitch, strike 1 looking. And now he's 2 for 25 with a 0.80 batting average. 0-1 outside, ball 1. And on the year, Bryce, he has scored 6 runs, he has hit 1 double, and he has been walked 5 times. He has been struck out 10 times this year as well. Count even at 1-1 for Grant against Bryce Mefford. Throw to first, not in time to get Miller at first. Throw to first, not in time. Grant throwing to Jackson, trying to get Miller. And so far, we don't have any updates on the Mount Vernon game. This one, a line shot, past the glove of the third baseman, Levin good. Bryce Mefford staying at first base. And Bryce Mefford, his 3rd hit of the year. And it's a huge one. And there's runners on first and second.
Let's go, Ben. Here we go.
A pinch hit single by Bryce Mefford. Timeout by Glacier Peak. As Grant Doman will be taken out of the game, it'll be number 55, Noah Stingley, who will be on the mound for Glacier Peak. And we'll take another quick break. Top of the 6th. No one out, 2 runners on, and Ben Pizer, the leadoff hitter, is at the plate. And we are now back into the top of the 6th inning. Lake Stevens, they trail by the score of 5-4. They have runners on first and second with nobody out, and a new pitcher For the Glacier Peak Grizzlies is number 55, Noah Stingley, facing off against the leadoff hitter, Ben Pizer. Outside ball 1. Grant Doman finishes his afternoon 2 1/3 innings, allowing 2 hits, currently no earned runs, but he is responsible for Brendan at second and Bryce at first. No walks and 1 strikeout on only 14 pitches. There's a chance that he might be used on Monday if Glacier Peak can pull it off. The 1-0, strike 1 looking. And Noah, entering this game, this is his 9th appearance, 1 win, no losses, with an ERA of 1.08. In 13 innings, he's allowed 9 hits, 2 earned runs, walking 5, and striking out 9. And Noah looking over at Brennan at second, the 1-1. Inside, ball 2. Timeout by Glacier Peak. Ethan Barker going to talk to Stingley. Lake Stevens, they have been in this situation in the last few innings, they left a runner on third in the second and third inning, and then left a runner on second base in both the 4th inning and in the 5th inning. Now they have a runner at second, so they cannot slow down here. The 2-1. Fly ball, that's foul. Count is even, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Be my hero. Right here, baby boy. Go, baby.
And Noah getting the sign from Ethan. Runner goes, 2-2, ball 3. Throw to third is not in time. It's a stolen base for Brendan Miller and Bryce Mefford. Bryce Mefford getting his 2nd stolen base of the year. And Brendan Miller getting his 3rd stolen base of the year. Runners are at 2nd and 3rd, and ball 3, so it's now a full count. Noah needs to be careful here. Payoff pitch. Wind up in the throw. Upstairs, ball 4. And Lake Stevens will have the bases loaded. The first 3 batters on 2 walks and a single. And guess who is up with the bases loaded? It is Theron Perkins, the 3rd baseman. 2 for 3, a 3-run triple, and a single in the 4th. Last time he was in the bases loaded, hit one in the dead center field, past the glove of the center fielder, Drew Brown, scoring Tanner, Hunter, and Ethan. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Game-tying run is at 3rd base. The game-leading run is at 2nd base, and we have an insurance run at 1st. First pitch, ball 1. And the 1-0, hard shot, that's a slow liner, fielded by Chase Rogers, who throws to first and is in time. He is out, and the game is tied on an RBI ground out by Theron Perkins. RBI number 4. Miller's going to score, and we have a brand new ball game. Bryce will move to 3rd. Ben will move to 2nd. It was a slow ground ball. The game tied for the first time since the top of the 1st inning. Or since the bottom of the 1st inning, when Glacier Peak originally scored the 5 runs. And here is Trey Long, who is 1 for 3 with a single in the 1st inning. Strike 1. Oh, not strike. Well, that was a close pitch right there. Ball 1. The game-leading run at 3rd. Insurance run at 2nd. Trey Long can break this game wide open and give the Vikings the lead for the first time in this game. And the 1-0 by Noah. Fly ball, that's a foul ball, goes over the fence. Over to Lake Stevens, right next to the batting cages, right next to the Lake Stevens dugout. Counting even at 1-1. Yeah, it is a shame. We do not have any updates about the Monroe-Mount Vernon game. But we'll give you an update as soon as we can. The 1-1 outside, ball 2. And so Theron, that will be RBI number 16 on the year. He is slowly crawling up to Will, who has the team lead in RBIs with 18. And Noah, the windup in the 2-1. Line drive shot. That's no, my goodness, that could not have been any closer. That one landing just in foul territory past the first base line. And the count is even at 2-2. It was a line shot. It gets past Jackson Swim. But it'll be called foul as it barely gets in the foul territory. The count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Noah Stingley facing off against Trey Long. They'll wind up in the 2-2. Line shot, that one caught by Swim. Cannot throw to second, cannot throw to third. That is a huge out for Glacier Peak. This one leans more in the fair territory, and Jackson Swim able to get this one. And now with 2 outs, Will Wentz has a chance to give the Vikings the lead for the first time in this game. He is 1 for 3 with a single in the 3rd inning and was stranded at third base. And Noah first pitch, upstairs ball 1. That one gets past Barker, the throw home, it gets past the pitcher, Noah Stingley. Now the ball's on the ground. Barker tries going home and Ben Pizer is in a run down and the inning is over. But Lake Stevens have the first lead of the game. It is 2 runs on 1 hit, no errors, and nobody left on. Ben tried scoring there for an insurance run. But Lake Stevens, they will get their first lead of the game in the top of the 6th. Justin Troya on the mound to try and throw a pretty good 6th inning of relief, facing off against Ethan Barker, Peyton Smith, and Drew Brown. Lake Stevens with a 6-5 lead, looking like a stunner in Snohomish here. And we are now back into the bottom of the 6th inning. Lake Stevens in a win-or-go-home game. They have taken their first lead of the game, 6-5, over the Glacier Peak Grizzlies. Justin Troya, he is on line for the win. He is on the mound, facing off against the number 9 hitter, Ethan Barker. First pitch, strike 1 looking. Barker 1 for 1. He got hit in the 1st inning and then was replaced by Bobby Martin at 1st. And then he hit a double in the 3rd and was replaced by Martin at 2nd. And the 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Troya, a pretty good 5th inning, 7 balls, 8 strikes, 15 pitches for 31 balls, 43 strikes on 74 pitches in the first 1-2-3 inning of this game. And the 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That ball gets past Trey, and Ethan Barker will get the first base. It'll be a strikeout towards Justin Troya, but Ethan Barker will get the first base, and he represents the game-tying run for Glacier Peak. Here's Peyton Smith, who is 1 for 2. And there'll be a pinch runner for Barker again. It's Bobby Martin.
Catcher, number 33, Bobby Martin.
And it looks like they're not going to say it's an error on Trey Long for the ball getting past him. But Glacier Peak now with the game-tying run at first base on the first batter, which is Ethan Barker. Here's Peyton Smith again. He is 1 for 2. Yeah, one for 2. That's what I got. Hit an RBI single and got hit and scored a run in the 1st inning. He went up to bat twice, and he grounded out to Brendan Miller in the 3rd. First pitch to Justin. Tries bunting for it. Throw to first is not in time to get Bobby Martin. Peyton Smith trying to bunt Martin over the 2nd. And Justin, looking over at Bobby at first, will throw to first. So again, the winner of this game playing the Cascade Bruins, who have won the Wesco regular season title. Or that is the safest assumption. If Mount Vernon beats Monroe, then one of these teams are playing Cascade. If Monroe beats Jackson, throw to first. Gets past Brendan Miller. They're trying to do a sneak, and Martin gets to second. Justin Troya trying to trick Bobby Martin, but the ball will get past the second baseman, Brendan Miller. And now the umpire is talking to Josh White, who said he didn't throw to first. And he didn't throw to first base, and therefore it was a balk. And now the game-tying run is at second base. The count's still 1-0 for Justin Troya against Peyton Smith. And Justin looking over at Bobby, the 1-0. Tries bunting for it. That one lands in foul territory. And the count is 1-1. That one rolls along the third base line.
Here we go. Get the guy to the plate. Win it. Here we go.
And this is where the suspense comes in. Glacier Peak, they already have the game-tying run. 1-2. This one, not caught by Will. Throw to first is in time. It's a sacrifice bunt by Peyton Smith. It was a pop-up. And Justin Troya looked like he was going to catch it. Either Justin or Will was. But instead, it'll be fielded by Will Wentz as Brendan Miller will field it at the first base bag, and it'll bring up Drew Brown, who is 1 for 3 with a single, a fly out to right, and a fielder's choice with the game-tying run at third. Bobby Martin representing the game-tying run at third. First pitch by Justin. Chopper, this one fielded by Theron, looks at third, throw to first, and it'll be in time. And that is a huge out for Lake Stevens. And it'll bring up Jackson Swim, who is 1 for 2 with an RBI double.
First baseman, number 3, Jackson.
And Josh White, timeout by Lake Stevens. Are they going to bring in a new pitcher? Don't know for sure if they will or not. But there will be a pitcher's meeting, and it looks like they will bring a new pitcher with the assistant coach, Paul Manabusen, signaling someone to come out. Or it looks like it might give him one final warning before he comes out. It's unclear. Again, same thing as the last game. It's unclear to see who's going to be in the bullpen, or who is in the bullpen right now for the Vikings. But Justin Troya looks like he'll stay in the mound, on the mound. With 2 outs, the game-tying run is at third. Jackson Swim can make this a whole new ball game with one swing. He is 1 for 2 with an RBI double. He was walked, and he flew out to right. First pitch, a line shot into the hole at center. Bobby Martin scores, and the game is tied. And just like I said, score is now tied at 6. This one getting past the second baseman, Brendan Miller. And Jackson Swim with his second RBI of the afternoon, and the game is tied at 6. And now here's Pierce Levengood, who is 1 for 3 with that 2-run homer. And they're going to intentionally walk Levengood. And they're going to bring in Riley Parker. Parker, he is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a groundout against Justin, and the lone at-bat against Jacob Wardla. He had a single and later scored.
Shortstop, number 9, Riley Parker.
And there's going to be a pinch runner for Jackson Swim, and it will be number 5, Kento Clymer. He was a pinch runner in the second game, and he was a starting baseman in the first game where he didn't get a hit and actually committed an error in the 16-4 loss against the Vikings. And so that will be another change. And Riley Parker, Kento Clymer representing the game-winning run. Game is now tied at 6. Both teams with 6 hits. Both teams with 7 hits each. And no errors. And Justin Troya looking over at Kento Clymer at second. First pitch. Low for a ball 1. Nice block by Trey.
Here we go.
And Justin, the 1-0, the throw, fly ball, that's a foul. Gets a piece of it as it goes behind home plate. Strike 1. Count it 1 ball and 1 strike. One ball, 1 strike. The suspense building up with every pitch. The 1-1. Ground ball that gets off the glove of Justin Troya, who tosses it to second, and it'll end the inning. Nice heads-up play by Zalesko, and the game is tied at 6. 1 run on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on. Glacier Peak, they tie this game up at 6. Noah Stingley, it looks like, he is back on the mound in the top of the 7th. He faces off against Will, Christian, and Tanner, the middle of the order, as Lake Stevens tries to retake the lead in the top of the 7th inning. And we are now back into the top of the 7th inning after taking a 6-5 lead. Glacier Peak has tied this game up at 6. And Lake Stevens looking to retake the lead in the top of the inning. Noah Stingley back on the mound against Will Wentz. First time facing off against the right-hander Stingley. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Will, he is 1 for 3 with a single in the 3rd. Struck out in the 1st inning, grounded out to the shortstop, Riley Parker, in the 5th, and he was the final hitter for Ian Haig, the starter. The 1-0. Fly ball, that's foul. Got a piece of that one. But the count now going at 1-1. It was during his at-bat in which the ball got past Ethan Barker, scoring Bryce Mefford from 3rd. Ben tried scoring as he thought the ball got past him. Got past the pitcher, but then later got out on the rundown. The 1-1, a hard hit shot. This one going to right field. Back goes Schaefer. Schaefer going back, looking up, and he makes the catch at the wall. The right fielder, Scott Schaefer. A nice play right there, keeping track of the ball here in the top of the 7th, and it will bring up Christian LaPierre, who is 1 for 2 with a stolen base, a walk, and a run scored. And Noah, the windup in the first pitch. Outside, ball 1. And the 1-0. Outside, ball 2. The Lake Stevens dugout now getting louder with every pitch. And Noah wind up, 2 balls, no strikes. Ball in the dirt to the catcher, Ethan Barker. It is a 3-0 count to Christian. LaPierre entering this game. He's been walked 10 times, now 11 entering this at-bat. And has a chance to represent the game. Leading run for the Vikings here in the top of the 7th, 3-0 to Noah. Swing and a miss, strike 1. First hitter in a while that has actually swung. Has actually swung at a 3-0 pitch. And the 3-1. Upstairs and outside, ball 4. Christian LaPierre representing the game-winning run at first base. Here is Tanner Lind. First time around against Stingley, and he is 1 for 3 with a single and a run scored. Noah peeking over his left shoulder at first towards Christian, and it will not get him at first base. The entire Glacier Peak dugout was ready to erupt after that call. It was a nice throw from first by Stingley, but it will not be in time as Tanner is awaiting his first pitch. Throw not in time. Didn't get him. There are a couple guys in Glacier Peak who are just ready to erupt, either in excitement or in frustration because of the calls at first. No, Tanner is at this point also still awaiting his first pitch. Throw it first, not in time, and Jackson Swim drops the baseball as he tries tagging Christian. And the Glacier Peak dugout doesn't say a word because this time they knew that he was safe on that one. Tanner still waiting the first pitch. He's still waiting for it. Noah getting the sign from Ethan Barker, the catcher. Throw to first. It is not in time. 4th time around. No good. And Tanner Lind, it's still no balls and no strikes. Check swing, ball 1. Noah Stingley trying the best in his ability to get the game-leading run off of the base paths. Throw to first, not in time. Christian wasn't even trying for that one. As compared to the other few times where he was a few steps past the bag, he was only like half a step behind it, so it was obvious that he's back to first in time. And the 1-0. Check swing, strike one. That was around the same spot as the last pitch. The only difference is Tanner check swinged at it. And Noah still looking over his left shoulder towards first base and will not get him. And the frustration just keeps getting bigger, as that is the 5th time that Noah Stingley has thrown the Christian. Count is 1 ball and 1 strike. The first, not in time. He's still doing it. He's trying to get into the mind of Christian, but instead, I think in a way, Christian got into the mind of Noah Stingley, the pitcher here, as he is just eager to get him out. The 1-1. Outside, ball 2. Noah, 2-1. Runner goes. Christian goes to second. Does he get him? No, he doesn't. Christian with another stolen base, and the game-leading run is in scoring position. The pitch is to strike, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Christian at second. It is stolen base number 8 on the year for Christian. The 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Noah gets Tanner swinging. Second time Tanner has struck out, and is now all up to the shoulders of the sophomore Hunter Zelasco. He is 0 for 2, and he does not have a hit against Glacier Peak in the 3 games this season. He was walked in the second, later scored, and then grounded out to first Levengood at third, and then Rogers at second. And Noah, strike 1 looking. And Noah looking over towards second, the 0-1. Upstairs, that's a strike 2. Wow. That is, the home plate umpire here has been calling it either between a ball and a strike on that top part of the strike zone this entire game. And it looks like it's not going to go towards Hunter's favor, at least not on that pitch. Timeout by Hunter. No balls and 2 strikes. Game leading run is at second. Either Hunter with 1 swing of a bat could give the Vikings a lead, or Noah with 1 throw could end the inning. The 0-2. That'll be a blooper. Will it fall? No, it won't. It is caught by the second baseman, Chase Rogers, as he runs towards right field. And that will be the end of the top of the 7th. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on. The game is tied at 6 as we go into the bottom of the 7th. And Justin Troya back on the mound into the 7th inning, facing off against Scott Schaefer, Aiden Ferry, and Chase Rogers, as the game is tied at 6 as we go into the bottom of the 7th inning. And we are now back into the bottom of the 7th inning. Lake Stevens tied with Glacier Peak at 6 apiece. If Glacier Peak gets a run on the board, they will move on and Lake Stevens will end. If Lake Stevens is able to get out of the inning, they'll have a shot in the top of the 8th inning to try and retake the lead. Justin Troya against Scott Schaefer, fly ball. This one going to center field. Christian LaPierre going back near the wall, moving to his right, makes the catch for the first out of the 7th inning. Very well hit ball by Schaefer, but it'll end in a fly out, and it'll bring up Aiden Ferry, who is 0 for 3. So Justin Troya, even though he allowed a run, he threw 2 balls for 9 strikes and 11 pitches for a total of 33 balls, 52 strikes, and 85 pitches. First pitch, fly ball. That one going to Christian. Center field, Christian LaPierre. Moving to his left. Or no, he's moving to his right, and he makes the catch. 2 pitches, 2 outs. Insert Cardinal rule here. You cannot swing at the third pitch. And let's hope Chase Rogers knows that. He is 0 for 2 with a walk in the first inning. Grounded out to Brendan Miller in the third inning, and then flew out to Ben Pizer in the 5th. And the only 1-2-3 inning of the entire game, which is what Justin Troya threw in the 5th. The windup in the first pitch. Strike 1 right down the middle. And he does. And he does not swing at that. Cardinal rule. I think everyone should know. The 0-1. Swung on. This one going to left center. Christian going back. LaPierre at the wall. Makes a catch at the wall. And Christian LaPierre right at the left center field 356 mark. And that is the end of regulation. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on, 4 pitches. And Lake Stevens will have a chance in the 8th inning to retake the lead. It'll be the 8, 9, and 1 hitters of Brendan Miller, not Ethan Jansen, Bryce Mefford, and Sam Pizer. Game is still tied at 6, and a nice job by the senior Justin Troya. And we are now back. We are in extra innings, top of the 8th. Noah Stingley on the mound against Brendan Miller. 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, a walk and a run. Stingley, first pitch. Strike 1 looking. And Noah getting the sign from Ethan Barker, the 0-1. Upstairs, ball 1. It'll be an 8-9-1, same first 3 batters as the 6th inning, in which Lake Stevens was able to take the lead, which is Brendan Miller, Bryce Mefford, and Ben Pizer, the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. And the 1-1, Noah. And that will hit Brendan Miller, this one, right under the helmet on the back of his head, and that's scary. Brendan Miller walking the first with his helmet off. He tosses his bat. Josh White, the manager, looking to see if he is all right. That was scary. That looked like it hit him right under the back of his neck. And Lake Stevens, through unfortunate circumstances, will get their game-winning run on first. And now bring up Bryce Mefford. Hit a 1-1 pitch past the third base line. What?
I wouldn't have said game-winning lead run.
I said leading, right? I said leading like 10 times this whole game. I thought I got it. And the first pitch from Bryce, ball 1. Must have been numb by it. I've said leading like 10 times.
I know, but it's like, because if you say winning,
It's a
then
top.
you think that
Oh, no, crap. Yeah, I know. I think I know that like part of the time. And the 1-0 count. Timeout by Bryce. He got a single, got a stolen base, and scored one of the 2 runs in the 6th inning. And the 1-0. Inside, strike 1 looking. Noah, he's not throwing at first base just like what he did with Christian. Swing and a miss. Miller throwing to second. Does he get him? No, he doesn't. Brandon Miller safe at second. Noah Stingley, he thought he was out. Riley Parker looked like he had the ball at the right spot, but no, he's not out. And it is stolen base number 4 on the year for Miller. Looks like he's recovering from getting hit in the back. And Lake Stevens has Miller representing the game-leading run. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That was a swing and a miss, strike 2. And the 1-2 pitch. Hard hit shot, that's foul. Goes into the Glacier Peak bullpen. Noah Stingley, a pretty good 7th inning. 7 balls, 9 strikes, or 16 pitches. He is even on balls and strikes entering this inning. 15 balls, 15 strikes with 30 pitches, leaving a runner on for a total of 6 runs on 7 hits, leaving 7 runners on. And the 1-2. Upstairs, ball 2.
Go, Bryce! You bring that kid up, man! Come on, Bryce! Let's go, kid!
And Noah looking at Brennan at second, 2-2. A 1-hopper to Barker. Nice block. And that'll keep Miller at second base. It is now a full count. Glacier Peak currently has no one warming up in the bullpen, so it looks like they're going to rely on Stingley for this whole 8th inning. And the payoff pitch, the windup by Noah. Swing and a miss, strike 3, gets Bryce swinging. And that is the first out of the 8th, brings us up to the top of the order in Ben Pizer. Ben, he is 0 for 3 with a walk in the 6th and got out on a rundown between third and home after he thought the ball got past the catcher, Noah Stingley, as he tried throwing it to home plate to try and get Bryce, who ended up scoring the game-leading run at the time in the 6th inning. First pitch by Noah. Fly ball that leans near foul territory in the left field, and that's foul.
Hey, good idea, Ben, good idea.
And the at-bat will start with an 0-1 count. Ben Pizer grounded out to the pitcher Ian Haig in the 1st, struck out swing in the 2nd, flew out to Schaefer in the 4th, and was walked on a full count in the 6th, and he was the first batter that Stingley faced back in the 6th inning. And the 0-1, upside, upstairs, and outside. I think I just made a new word there, or at least it wasn't a new word, but it's a new term. Ball 1, 1 ball and 1 strike. And Noah, the 1-1. Line drive ball that gets into the hole. No, it's fielded by Rogers. Throw to first is in time. It looked like it could get into the hole in right field, but Chase Rogers is there to make the play. And here is Theron Perkins, 2 for 4 with a triple, a single, and 4 RBIs. And he is in perfect position after what he has done today to make the hit to give the Vikings the lead. Brendan Miller moves to third. And it's the second time around against Noah. First pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. Hit an RBI ground out against Noah back in the 6th. That scored Brendan Miller from third. And Noah ahead of the count, no balls, 1 strike. The pitch. Outside, that hits the backstop behind home plate and bounces back to the catcher, Ethan Barker. A lucky bounce back for Glacier Peak, as that'll keep Brendan at third base. That one just went past everything. And it's a ball 1. Now even the count. And Noah, 1 ball, 1 strike, the pitch. Foul ball, this hits the fence, he's ahead of the count. And Noah, with 1 pitch, can end the inning, and Theron, with 1 swing, could give the Vikings the lead. Once again, Brendan Miller at third base, 1 ball, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Noah Stingley, the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and that will end the 8th. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on once again. As we go into the bottom of the 8th inning, will Justin Troya go back to the mound? No, he will not. It'll be number 34, Will Wentz, making his second relief appearance of the year. Face it off against Ethan Barker, Peyton Smith, and Drew Brown in the bottom of the 8th inning. Game still tied at 6. And we are now back into the bottom of the 8th inning. Game still tied at 6. Will Wentz, the new pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings. And he'll face off against number 19, Joel Plank, who will be the pinch hitter for Ethan Barker. And a new pitcher for the Lake Stevens Vikings, number 34, Will Wentz, the 0-1. Fly ball, that's playable. This one going right in front of home plate. And Trey Long, no, he drops the ball. It gets in and out of the glove of the catcher, Trey Long. And Glacier Peak has the game-winning run at first base. And it'll bring us back to the top of the order for the 5th time around with Peyton Smith, who is 1 for 2 with a run scored and an RBI. And Bob Blair is going to talk to the umpires about the pinch runners, and they're going to bring in Bobby Martin, and he represents the game-winning run at first. And he'll bring up Peyton Smith.
Left fielder, number 18, Peyton Smith.
And it'll be Will Wentz. As I was saying, he's entering this game 3 wins and no losses, an ERA of 2.77, 20 and 2/3 innings, allowing 15 hits, 8 earned runs, walking 13 batters, and striking out 9, while Justin Troya had a really, really good relief performance, throwing 6 and 2/3 innings of relief, and Will Wentz throwing above the head. But a nice snag by the new first baseman, Tate Brust, to try and get Bobby Martin out. And Justin Troya throwing 6 and 2/3 of relief, allowing 4 hits, 1 earned run, walking 1 and striking out 3, trying to bunt for it. Ball 1, Trey. Doing a pretty good job of keeping the ball in play, looking at Bobby Martin towards first. And Will tries to bunt for it. Fielded by Will. Throws to second base, and he'll get it for the fielder's choice. What a throw by Tate Brust! And he'll get Bobby Martin out for the fielder's choice at second. A very perfectly executed play by Lake Stevens. Tate Brust moving towards the ball. And Tate Brust throwing immediately to Hunter Zalesko at second to get Bobby Martin out. There's a runner on first with 1 out for Drew Brown, who is 1 for 4 with a single in the 4th inning. And Will, first pitch. Fly ball, that is out for a foul past the Lake Stevens dugout. And right next to the fence that's bordering the Glacier Peak softball field that's across from us. Will ahead of the count early. And Will, the 0-1. Strike 2 looking, nice pitch. And Will Wentz, this is his 2nd relief appearance. He pitched in the game against Jackson in the final home game, the 0-2 upstairs ball 1. He threw 2 innings of relief, allowing 4 hits, an earned run, walking no one, and striking out a batter on 38 pitches, and he hit the walk-off double to win the game. 1-2. Strike 3 called. Throw to second. Does he get him? No, he doesn't. Woo! That was a close play at second. And Peyton Smith with his 4th stolen base.
First baseman, number 3.
And Jackson Swim with a chance to be a hero for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies to keep their season alive. He is 2 for 3. And even if you put Jackson Swim on intentionally walking, you have Pierce Levengood. And those 2 guys can hit dingers. So you got to watch out for that. Peyton Smith with his 4th stolen base. Timeout by Lake Stevens. Josh White, along with Trey Long and the entire infield, talking to Will Wentz to see if they can keep their season alive in the bottom of the 8th inning. It's 2 outs. And the game winning run is at second base, and Peyton Smith, the left fielder. They'll take a quick break. Bottom of the 8th inning. Game tie at 6. 2 outs. Runner on second. And we are now back in the bottom of the 8th inning. Glacier Peak, they have the game-winning run at second with 2 outs. Will Wentz against Jackson Swim. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Jackson Swim, he is 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. And with 1 swing, Jackson Swim could keep their season alive. The 1-0. One hopper gets past Trey, and it's a wild pitch to third. As Peyton Smith represents the game-winning run, which is at third base. And the count is 2-0. Josh White has the option to intentionally walk Jackson Swim here and to bring up Pierce Levengood as the tension rises in this game. 2 balls, no strikes. Will, the 2-0. Strike 1 looking. A nice pitch by Will. The check swing a little bit as Will tricking Jackson on that one with the curveball. And Will, behind on the count, gets a sign from Trey. 2-1. Swung on, fly ball, center field. Christian, there. Will he make the catch? You bet he will. It's the end of the 8th. Glacier Peak leaves a runner on third. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left on. And it's the end of the 8th inning as we go into the top of the 9th. as Noah Stingley will return the mound in the top of the ninth between Trey Long, Will Wentz, and Christian Lapierre. And we are now back at the top of the ninth inning. Lake Stevens and Glacier Peak tied at 6. Noah Stingley against Trey Long. First pitch. Inside, ball 1. Trey, this is the second time around against Noah, and he's 0 for 1 with a pop out to the first baseman, or a line out to Jackson Swim. And he is, against the other pitchers, he's 1 for 2 with a single. 1-0, going low for a ball 2.
Tighten up that zone.
And it'll be Trey Long, it'll be Will Wentz, and it'll be Christian Lapierre once again, the 2-0. And that one going way inside. Trey Long having to duck away from that one. That looked like a pitch that was very similar that we saw that hit Brendan Miller.
Hit the ball. Jesus.
And the count is at 3-0, and just like the last time that the Vikings played Glacier Peak, Trey Long, he gave Noah Stingley a stare down, the 3-0. Strike 1 right down the middle. Trey gave Grant Doman a stare down after he threw right near him. And he's doing the same thing here with number 55, Noah Stingley. The count 3-1. And the windup, the 3-1. Line drive, shot into the hole in center field. Lake Stevens with a leadoff single for the junior catcher, Trey Long. The second hit of the afternoon, he is 2 for 5. And it'll bring up Will Wentz. He is 1 for 4 with a single in the third inning. And Noah Stingley with Trey at first. The first pitch. Strike 1 looking. Noah had a pretty decent 8th inning. 6 balls, 11 strikes on 17 pitches. 21 balls, 26 strikes for 47 pitches, leaving a runner on for a total of 6 runs, 7 hits, and 8 runners left on. The 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. And earlier in the game, we were seeing some frustration among the Glacier Peak players. And now we are seeing some frustration among some of the pitches from the Lake Stevens bleachers and dugout. To show how intense postseason baseball is here in the state of Washington. The 0-2 pitch, ball gets past Ethan Barker. Trey's going to go to second. The throw will beat him by a mile, and he's out at second. Trey, he stopped for a second and saw that the ball got past Barker, and Barker threw to second, and the base paths are empty. And Noah Stingley ahead of the count. The 1-2 pitch. Inside ball 2, that gets past Barker. And now reality kicks in with the last instance of Trey getting caught stealing for the first time this year. Is now 8 for 9 on the year in stolen bases. Count now at 2-2. Noah ahead of the count, the pitch. Outside ball 3, full count. And Trey agitated in the dugout that he got thrown out at second base. And the payoff pitch, the windup and the throw. Inside ball 4, and Lake Stevens replacing one base runner with another. They're going to put another runner on first, and that will be Will Wentz on a 1-out walk. Here's Christian Lapierre, 1 for 2 with 2 stolen bases. He's been walked twice, and he has scored a run. And there will be a pinch runner for Will Wentz. That'll be number 3, Tommy Lindgren. This is the first time that he has been used as a pinch runner this year, as he has mainly been used as the backup catcher and the starting catcher. And the starting catcher for the junior varsity team that finished their season earlier this week. So Christian Lapierre in the first inning and in the 7th inning, he walked. 3rd inning, grounded out to Riley Parker, and in the 5th inning, hit a base hit, and he has 2 stolen bases. First pitch by Noah. Inside ball 1. Noah looking at Tommy over at second, or Tommy over at first. A hard hit ball, right field. Schaefer going back. Schaefer's looking up. That is gone! Christian LaPierre hits a gutter to right field, and the senior takes an 8-6 lead with a 2-run home run to right field. A gutter for the center fielder, Christian LaPierre, and the number 5 seeded Lake Stevens Vikings. His teammates are mobbing him right in front of the dugout. And the Vikings take an 8-6 lead in the ninth inning. I almost said 7th there. I've gotten used to just seeing games end in the 7th inning. Tommy will score. This one, a fly ball into center field from Tanner Lind. And that will be the second out. Christian LaPierre, his first home run, and it comes at a huge moment in the game, in the Vikings season. Tanner Lind, he flew out to center field on a first pitch. Here's Hunter Zalesko. Low, ball 1. And Noah, the windup in the 1-0. Swing and a miss, strike 1. That will be RBIs number 12 and 13 for Christian and his first home run. And the 1-1 pitch. And it'll be a slow roller going towards the Glacier Peak dugout. One ball and 2 strikes, fly ball. That is playable right next to the Lake Stevens dugout, but that will lean on top of the dugout right into the Lake Stevens bullpen. The count will stay 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Hunter, I believe you can. Let's go. Nice and easy. Go, Hunter. Find the hole. Let's go. Positivity, baby.
And Hunter Zalesko, with 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning, has a chance to extend the game. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. And that will end the top of the 9th. But this is huge. Highlighted by a 2-run home run by the center fielder, Christian LaPierre. The Lake Stevens Vikings need 3 outs, and it will end the Glacier Peak Grizzlies season. Will Wentz on the mound, facing off against the middle hitters of Pierce Levengood, Riley Parker, and Scott Schaefer. Score, Lake Stevens 8, Glacier Peak 6 in this amazing ball game here at Glacier Peak High School. And we are now back, bottom of the 9th inning. Glacier Peak, they trail by 2. After a 2-run home run by Christian LaPierre in the top half of the inning, Will Wentz on the mound to try and close out this game and end Glacier Peak's season. But first it'll be Pierce Levengood, first pitch. Hard hit ball, center field. Christian LaPierre and Tanner Lind both going for it, and LaPierre will make the catch at the warning track in right center. First pitch in the first out of the 9th. Here is Riley Parker, and this is a pretty tough few batters that Will Wentz has to face after taking a lead like that, which was Pierce Levengood, Riley Parker, and Scott Schaefer, guys that can rake. Pierce Levengood flew out to center. Here's Riley Parker, who's 1 for 4. Will, first pitch, strike 1 looking. And the 0-1, Will, outside, ball 1. And the 0-2 pitch, a fly ball that's foul. Riley trying to stay alive in the at-bat. First time against Will this season. And Will ahead of the count, with the count being 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2, hard hit ball, that one going to left. Ben Pizer running to the wall, makes the catch, second out. And the Glacier Peak Grizzlies season will all rely on their right fielder, Scott Schaefer. He is 0 for 3 with a 4-pitch walk in the first inning and later scored. He later flew out to Tanner and Christian and struck out in the 5th. The Glacier Peak Grizzlies season all relies on this guy. First pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. And Will, the 0-1. Check swing, upstairs, ball 1. And the 1-1 pitch, low in the dirt to the catcher, Trey Long, ball 2. On a partly cloudy day here at Glacier Peak High School at 4:37 p.m. The 2-1 line shot into center field. That one, it got past Will like a rocket, but when it hit the infield, it slowed down. And it'll be a 2-out single. Glacier Peak keeps their season alive, but then they'll have to rely on a guy that's never gotten a hit against the Vikings, and that is designated hitter Aiden Ferry. He is 0 for 4. He struck out as the first batter he faced off against Justin. Then he flew out to all the 3 outfielders. First to Ben at left, then to Tanner at right. First pitch, a strike 1 looking as the ball gets out of the glove of Trey. He flew out to left and Ben, flew out to right on the Tanner. Wait, did he just call that a ball? What? No. Okay, whatever. The 1-0. One hopper to Trey. And Scott Schaefer stays at first. A 2-0 count. 2 balls, no strikes. Will behind the count. And Aiden Ferry represents the game-tying run. Timeout by Trey. Gonna go talk to Will on the mound. And a timeout, so Will Wentz he is online to get his 4th win of the year, to go 4-0 in his 2nd straight win in relief. He was a relief pitcher in the last game he pitched, which is against Jackson in the final home game. He hit a walk-off double. He helped his own cause and brought his record up to 3-0. 2 balls and no strikes. Trey going back behind the plate to the designated hitter Aiden Ferry, who has been the DH for the pitchers for Glacier Peak today. 2-0. Strike 1 looking. And Will, the 2-1. Strike 2 looking. Will ahead of the count. And he has 1 strike left to pull an amazing comeback. And the 2-2, low under the strike zone, ball 3. Count is now full. Will Wentz, full count 3-2, 4:39 p.m., May 5th, 2018. Payoff pitch, line shot into the hole and left. And there are runners on first and second. Aiden Ferry with his first hit against the Lake Stevens Vikings. And there is Chase Rogers, who was 0 for 3 with a walk, a couple flyouts, and a ground out. And Chase Rogers now represents the winning run for the Glacier Peak Grizzlies.
Chase Rogers.
And so far, after all this carnage in the Glacier Peak lineup, Chase Rogers, the only guy to not have a base hit. Low, ball 1, nice stop by Trey. And the tension, especially on the Lake Stevens side, or is it just me, start building up in the bottom of the 9th inning. Will, the 1-0 pitch. Fly ball that hits the fence foul. Counts even at 1-1. So right now, Will Wentz is online for the win. Noah Stingley online for the loss. And also Ethan Barker will be returning to the plate. He is returning in the place of Joel Plank. And the 1-1 by Will. Inside, ball 2. Trying the curveball, but it goes inside. And the Cascade Bruins still looking on in the bullpen. right in the area right next to the Glacier Peak bullpen. The 2-1 pitch. Strike 2 looking. What a pitch by Will. Nasty curveball evens the count. Looks like it goes outside of the strike zone. And Will, one more strike. The tension is building up for Lake Stevens to keep their season alive. Chase Rogers trying to keep their Glacier Peak season alive. 2-2. Fly ball. Tanner. He's going for it. He's under it. He makes the catch. And the Lake Stevens Vikings pull off the stunner in Snohomish. That's what we're going to call it. It's the stunner in Snohomish. After trailing 5-0, Lake Stevens pulls off an amazing comeback to win the game with a final score of 8-6. Their season will continue on. Lake Stevens continuing on, not finishing their season, but they're going to go into Monday with a record of 9 wins and 12 losses. And the Glacier Peak Grizzlies finishing their year with a record of 10 wins and 11 losses. The best assumption is that the Lake Stevens Vikings will play the number 1 seeded Cascade Bruins on Monday, May 7th. But because there are no updates at all, we could not find any updates about the Mount Vernon Monroe game. So here is the scenario right now. If Mount Vernon wins the game, then Lake Stevens will play Cascade. If Monroe wins the game, then if Monroe wins the game, then Lake Stevens will play the Jackson Timberwolves. All we have to do is wait for that final score going up north, and then we'll find out where we're going to play for the Wesco semifinals as the number 5 seed Lake Stevens Vikings move on. My name is Payne Patchett. You've been listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball. And we'll see you on Monday, May 7th. The Vikings playing either at Jackson or at Cascade.